Hello students. So today is the third session of admission of our partners, and today I am going to discuss a very important topic with you, that is treatment of accumulated profits and reserves and losses. This is the very important topic because this topic can be asked in change in profit and loss ratio, admission of a partner, and retirement and death of a partner too. So let's begin with the concept. So basically, whatever accumulated profits and reserves are there has to be distributed between the partners. When I say partners, it means the old partners in their old profit and loss ratio. Whenever a new partner is being a part of the organization, whatever reserve has been created out of the profit by the old partner has to be distributed between the old partners only in their old profit and loss sharing ratio. When I say the accumulated profits and reserves, so there are 6 reserves probably can be asked, maybe more than that, but these are the reserve which can be asked. It is given in the liability side of your balance sheet. And what are those reserves? They are general reserve, it can also be called reserve fund, contingency reserve, investment fluctuation reserve, workman compensation reserve, revaluation reserve, and profit and loss account ka credit balance. The journal entry should be accumulated profits and reserves account debit to old partners capital account, and it is going to be distributed to the old partners in their old profit and loss sharing ratio. Alright. So here when I say all the accumulated profits and reserves account debit, says accumulated profits and reserves account debit to old partners capital / current account. So when I say reserves, general reserve account debit, contingency reserve account debit, profit and loss account ka debit balance debit, workman compensation account debit, investment fluctuation reserve account debit, revaluation account debit. But you have to keep one thing in your mind, that as far as the workman compensation reserve is there and investment fluctuation reserve is there, you have to consider the unclaimed amount only. And now what is an unclaimed account? I'll talk about that on the upcoming slide. So now I'll just take an example of this. Just take an example that A, B and C were the 3 partners having a share of 5:3:2. Now D is coming for 1/10 share. The balance sheet is given. This is your balance sheet. Left hand side is the liability side and right hand side is your asset side. So in the liability side, I'll just take few example of your reserves. General reserve suppose given hai, and general reserve suppose given hai 60,000 ka. And profit and loss account is also given for 40,000. So this is the accumulated profits and reserves. Now this reserve has to be distributed between the old partners in their old profit and loss ratio. When I say old partner, strictly to the old partners, because this reserve has been created by the old partners only. So the journal entry should be concerned reserve account debit, concerned reserve. So concerned reserve are general reserve, general reserve account debit 60,000, profit and loss account debit, that is 40,000 to the old partners. When I say old partners, so here the old partners are A, B and C. So to A's capital account, to B's capital account and to C's capital account, to C's capital account. ये जो आपका अमाउंट 1 लाख रुपीस का है, this need to be distributed to the old partners in their old profit and loss ratio. So the old ratio was 5/10 for A. So 5/10 of 1 lakh. 3/10 of 1 lakh goes to B, and 2/10 of 1 lakh goes to C. So there should be 50,000 for A, 30,000 for B and 20,000 for C. So this was the distribution of accumulated profits and reserves whenever a new partner wanted to admit into the firm. So let's go to the next topic. Now for distribution of accumulated losses, definitely as a matter of fact, when the accumulated profits and reserves need to be distributed to the old partners in their old profit and loss ratio, similarly accumulated losses को भी आप आप राइट ऑफ करोगे और वो भी डिस्ट्रीब्यूटेड होंगे बिटवीन द ओल्ड पार्टनर्स इन देयर ओल्ड प्रॉफिट एंड लॉस रेशियो. नाउ द क्वेश्चन इज कि what are the types of losses? So first of all, the types of losses are mentioned in your asset side of balance sheet, and mostly deferred revenue expenditure, advertisement suspense account and profit and loss account debit balance is given there. So whenever there is a accumulated losses, so it's need to be distributed to the old partners in their old profit and loss ratio. So the journal entry should be old partners capital account debit to accumulated losses account. So old partners capital account debit, old partners capital account debit to, or maybe current account to old to accumulated profits and reserves, and it should be distributed in their old profit and loss sharing ratio. Let's take a question for this. So now the question is same, like A, B and C were the three partners sharing profit and losses in the ratio of 5:3:2. Now D is joining the firm for 1/10 share, and they have given you the balance sheet, and in the asset side they have given you profit and loss account debit balance, say 20,000. So now the treatment is, if you could pass the journal entries for the same. So the journal entry is A's capital account debit, B's capital account debit, C's capital account debit, to profit and loss account, and the value is 20,000, and this amount is being distributed in the ratio of 5:3:2. That is the old ratio. So 5/10 of 20,000, 3/10 of 20,000 to B, and 2/10 of 20,000 to C. So this should be 10,000, 6,000 and 4,000 respectively. Alright. So moving to the next topic. Now, this is the very important topic. We have investment. Right. So investment, we are talking about the investment fluctuation reserve. Right. But investment fluctuation reserve is being created out of the profit to protect the investment up to an extent it was created. Investment fluctuation reserve is being created out of the profit to protect the investment up to the extent it was created. When I say created, so it is for the investment fluctuation reserve. So there are 3-4 conditions. Let's talk about that. First condition is when the market value of investment is more than the book value. So whenever the market value of investment is greater than the book value, then investment fluctuation reserve doesn't have any use and has to be distributed to the partners in their old profit and loss sharing ratio. So the journal entries to record the investment increase in the value of investment is investment account debit to revaluation account, and second is revaluation account debit to old partners capital account. Let's take an example for the same. Suppose if A, B and C were the three partners, same ratio 5:3:2, D is joining the firm for say 1/10 share, and they have given you a balance sheet. Left hand side is a liability side and right hand side is your asset side. So in the asset side, they have given you investment of say 6 lakh. Okay, and investment fluctuation reserve given in the liability side say 1 lakh. Now in the additional information, market value of investment is say 6,40,000. So this is your book value and this is your market value, and you find that your market value is greater than your book value. All right, your market value is greater than your book value by 40,000. Right. So this should be recorded like this: investment account debit to revaluation account 40,000, 40,000. Next one is, second part is revaluation account debit. Here I have taken old partners. So here the old partners is A, B and C. So revaluation account debit, this 40,000 has to be distributed between the old partners. They are A, B, and C, definitely in their old profit and loss sharing ratio. So that is 5 by 10 of 40,000 should be given to A, 3 by 10 of 40,000 should be given to B, and 2 by 10 of 40,000 should be given to C. So that is 20,000 should be given to A, and 12,000 should be given to B, and 8,000 should be given to C. Now here you find, since investment value is going up, I mean the market value is going up, so this investment fluctuation reserve doesn't have any use. So this need to be distributed between the partners in their old profit and loss ratio. So here I can write the third entry. So third entry is investment fluctuation reserve account debit. This is the value is 1 lakh, and this need to be distributed between A's capital, B's capital to C's capital, and of course this should be distributed in their old profit and loss ratio, that is 5:3:2. So 5 by 10 of 1 lakh will give you how much? 50,000. 3 by 10 is 30,000 and 2 by 10 is 20,000. So whenever the market value of investment is more than the book value, so you have to pass 3 journal entries for the same. First journal entries to record the difference between the market value and book value. Second entry should be distributed that profit to the partners, and third entry should be distribution of investment fluctuation reserve to the old partners. Why? It has no use now, since the market value is greater than the book value. So moving to the next concept. Now the next concept is when the market value of investment is equals to the book value. So definitely again, when the market value and book value doesn't have any change, so whatever investment fluctuation reserve we have created has to be distributed to the partners in their old profit and loss sharing ratio. So here we can write investment fluctuation reserve account debit to old partners capital account. Again, I like to take an example for the same for your better understanding. So ABC, again the same example has to be taken. So ABC were the 3 partners, 5:3:2. D is coming the firm for 1/10 share, and here I am going to take the same example. So this is your liability side and this is your asset side, and here they have given you the investment of say 6 lakh, and investment fluctuation reserve for this I'll just use the shortcut IFR. So this is for 1 lakh. Now in the adjustment they have given that market value of investment is rupees 6 lakh, or if nothing is stated. So it means whenever the question is silent, by default we have to think that there is no change between the market value and the book value, right? So when the market value and book value doesn't have any change, so this amount of investment fluctuation reserve which was created by the old partners out of their profit has to be distributed to the old partners in their old profit and loss sharing ratio. So for this, the concept is investment fluctuation reserve account debit to old partners account. So I'll just put this amount. So as per this example, the old partner's name is also mentioned. So I have to take ABC. So investment fluctuation reserve account debit to A's capital account, to B's capital account, to C's capital account, and this 1 lakh has to be distributed to all the partners in their old profit and loss sharing ratio. So this 1 lakh, 5 by 10 of this, 50,000 should be given to A, 30,000 should be given to B, and 20,000 should be given to C. Alright. So moving to the next concept. Now the next concept is when the market value of investment is less than the book value, right? So let's take an example for the same in order to understand it a better way. So I'll just take an example. A, B and C were the 3 partners. sharing profit and losses in the ratio 5:3:2. D is a new partner coming for 1/10 share. They have given you the balance sheet. In the left hand side, again the liabilities side, and right hand side is your asset side, and here the investment is same. So investment is given as rupees 6 lakh rupees, and investment fluctuation reserve is say 1 lakh rupees, and in the adjustment it is given that market value of investment is rupees 5 lakh 40,000. So this is the book value, this is the book value, and this is your market value. So comparing your book value with the market value, you find there is a difference of 60,000. I mean, book value declines by 60,000. But in order to support this, there is a creation of investment fluctuation reserve out of the profit by the old partners up to an extent of 1 lakh. So it means this is called actually the available amount of reserve, and this is actually called the required amount. So when the availability on account of investment fluctuation reserve is more than the required amount, so the entire amount need to be adjusted, entire required amount is being adjusted, and the difference amount has to be distributed between the partners in their old profit and loss sharing ratio. Now I'll just post into the group. So basically this is investment fluctuation reserve. Here I have written the conceptual entry, that is investment fluctuation reserve account debit to investment to old partners capital account. But as per this example, I'll just try to solve this. So investment fluctuation reserve account should be debited with the value 1 lakh rupees to investment account. To investment account, we have to record the difference, that is 60,000 ka. So the 40,000 is the unused value, and that has to be distributed to the partners. So 40,000 remaining has to be distributed to the partners in their given ratio, that is the old ratio. So 5/10 of 40,000 will give you how much? It's really simple. 20,000 to A, 12,000 to B, and 8,000 to C. So basically in the previous slide, when I say difference amount, so this is the difference amount. I mean, after considering this value, after considering this difference, whatever remaining we have on account of investment fluctuation reserve has to be distributed to the partners. Now moving to the next concept. Now under this case, the entire IFRS being transferred being protecting investment. Now what is this? When it is happen when the book value and market value, when the book value and market value, so no, this is not same, when the book value is greater than the market value, right? So now what kind of example we can take? It's real simple. So again the same thing happened, that A, B and C were the three partners. They are having a share of 5:3:2. So this is not the condition, actually we are talking about this. So now in the balance sheet, again the same thing I'll consider, liability side and asset side. They have given you investment fluctuation reserve of same say 1 lakh and investment of rupees 6 lakh. And in the adjustment, they have given you the book market value. I mean, book value has already given. So market value is say rupees 5 lakh. So here if you could compare the book value with the market value, you find book value is greater than the market value by 1 lakh rupees. So this comes under the requirement. And we have an availability of investment fluctuation reserve of 1 lakh rupees. So this is actually a loss, because here you find the investment was made by the organization for rupees 6 lakh. Now their market value comes down to 5 lakh. So there is a reduction of 1 lakh. But for this reduction, we have already prepared up to an extent 1 lakh. This amount has already been created out of the profit to protect this kind of losses. So here the entire amount can be available to protect this loss. So the entry should be investment fluctuation reserve account debit to investment account, and here I can consider the concept only. So 1 lakh and 1 lakh. So investment fluctuation reserve account debit to investment account. So the entire amount is being considered to protect the investment. All right. So moving to the next condition. Now, this is the workman compensation reserve. Again, the same thing happened. Now, what is a workman compensation reserve? So, if you could look at this. So, this is actually a reserve. Reserve means reserve means that it is created out of the profit. This is created out of the profit to compensate the employee, up to an extent it was created. This is the basic definition. So, now first condition is when there is a no reserve. When there is a no reserve. So, okay, fine. So, I can talk about the case 1 here. So, suppose if there is a no claim, I mean there is no reserve. So, how can you do that? It's really simple. Suppose A, B and C were the 3 partners sharing profit and losses in the ratio of 5:3:2, and D is coming for 1/10, and it is given in the adjustment that we have to create a claim for workman compensation. Claim created for workman compensation say of rupees 10,000. So, as you know, whenever we create a provision for workman compensation, so it is a matter of liabilities for the organization, and whenever liabilities increases, it's supposed to be credited. So, the journal entry first of all, this is actually a loss for the organization. So, while creating it, the journal entry should be revaluation account debit by 10,000 to provision for workman compensation claim. Okay, and now this is a loss. So, afterward this loss has to be distributed to the partners. This loss has to be distributed to the partners. That's why I have taken ABC here, the old partners, in their old profit and loss ratio. So, what you can do in the second entry? You have to debit all the old partners, that is A, B, C's capital account debit to revaluation account. So, this 10,000 of worth loss has to be given to the old partners in their old profit and loss ratio. So, 5,000 should be given to A, 3,000 should be given to B, and 2,000 should be given to C. Alright. Now, I am taking the same example here for case 2. When the claim is less than the reserve, so same thing like ABC were the old partners having a share of say 5:3:2, and D is joining the firm for 1/10 share. Okay, and they have given you the balance sheet, and in the left hand side, that is the liability side, they have given you workman compensation reserve of say 40,000. Okay, and in adjustment they have given you the claim on account of workman compensation reserve is rupees say 10,000. So, here you find this is the available amount of workman compensation reserve, and this is the required amount of workman compensation reserve. So, what you can do is after adjusting this required amount, whatever difference we have, that is considered as the unclaimed amount actually. So, unclaimed amount has to be distributed to the old partners in their old profit and loss sharing ratio. Why? This because this has already been created out of the profit, and profit belongs to the old partners. So, after adjusting this value, whatever difference we have, so that again that difference does not have any use in the organization, has to be distributed to the old partners in their old profit and loss sharing ratio. So, the journal entry should be So workmen compensation reserve account debit 40,000 to provision for workmen compensation reserve account. Workmen compensation actually claim, compensation claim, that is 10,000. So out of 40,000, 10,000 was the claim. So it means the remaining 30,000 has to be distributed to the old partners in their old profit and loss sharing ratio. To A's capital account, to B's capital account, to C's capital account, and the difference of 30,000 has to be distributed to the old partners in their old profit and loss ratio. So 30,000 in the ratio 5:3:2. So 5 by 10 is 15,000, 3 by 10 is 9,000 and 2 by 10 is 6,000. So we have just covered case 1 and case 2. And third case would be when the claim is equals to the reserve, and when the claim is more than the reserve, we'll cover in the next slide. So now case 3. When the claim is equals to your reserve. So same condition for this also, 5:3:2 where the three old partners share, and D is coming for, say, let's take an example, 1/10, and in the balance sheet left hand side, liability side, they have given you workmen compensation reserve of, say, 40,000. All right, and in the adjustment, that is in the additional information, they have given that the claim on account of workmen compensation reserve is the same amount. So here you can find this is your available reserve and this is your claimed amount. So can we say claimed amount here is equals to workmen compensation reserve? So the entire amount has to be transferred to adjusting the claim, right? So the journal entry should be workmen compensation reserve account debit 40,000 to provision for workmen compensation claim account with the same value. Okay, so now we have already covered the case 3 also. Now the case 4 is when the claim is more than the reserve. So let's take an example of this also. So this is your case 4. So case 4 mentioned that when the claim is greater than the available reserve. Let's take an example on this. The same example I can consider. The same example, the same way, ABC where the three partners, 5:3:2, D coming for 1/10 share, and in the balance sheet they have given you the workmen compensation reserve of 40,000. Okay, and now in the adjustment they have given you the claimed amount of, say, 60,000. Claimed amount of claimed is rupees 60,000. Okay, so this is the claimed amount of 60,000 and this is the available reserve. So here you can easily notice that your claimed amount is greater than your available limits. Now, what about the 20,000? Because 60,000 is the claimed amount and we have the availability of 40,000 only. So we can, adjust up to an extent of 40,000. So 20,000 ke liye 20,000 would be a loss for the organization and has to be transferred to the revaluation account. So now the journal entry should be workmen compensation reserve account debit. Up to an extent it was created, that is 40,000. Revaluation account debited because remaining difference amount of 20,000 has to be considered from the revaluation account. To provision for to provision for workmen compensation account, that is 60,000. Now this revaluation loss is actually a loss, and that loss has to be borne by A, B and C, I mean the old partners. In which ratio? Definitely in old profit and loss sharing ratio. So to A's capital account, B's capital account, C's capital account debit, to revaluation account. So now this amount of 20,000 has to be distributed between all the old partners in their old profit and loss ratio. So 20,000 ka 5 by 10, that is 10,000 should be given to A, 6,000 should be given to B and 4,000 should be given to C. So this was it. I hope you understand each and every concept thoroughly, because CET में what is important, जैसे मैं हर टाइम कहता हूँ, concept plays a vital role. Concept plays a vital role. Once you know the concept, everything is simple. So I am focusing more on the concept. So you should, once you learn the concept, so it is very easy for you to crack any kind of exam based on this. So thank you so much, and best wishes for you always. Keep learning.